Thanks very much, Chrissy, and thanks also to the Vertical Events team for putting on another terrific event, and it's terrific to see the huge turnout here today for day one of the conference. I'm going to be providing an update today on Ardea's Kalgoorlie nickel project and outlining the progress that the team's making on advancing our Goongarrie hub. Standard disclaimer, you're welcome to look at the presentation in detail in your own time, which is available on the ASX and Ardea website. So the foundational building blocks for every project are the people and the projects, and during this presentation I'll be outlining the reasons why Ardea ticks both boxes in a compelling way. So everyone in the Ardea board has the relevant experience from discovery, study management, project development and operations, and that ranges from very small projects through to mega projects as well. We've got a very committed team. That's reflected in our very tight capital structure for a company that's first listed on ASX in February 2017. We've still got just over 197 million shares on issue. We maintain well funded with $19.6 million in the Treasury at the end of the December quarter, and very importantly, no debt. So other key people are our entire workforce, and I've only got room on this slide to show our key executive management team, but members of the team are at booth 50 at the conference, and I'd encourage you to come and introduce yourself and ask any questions you've got. So the key features of the KMP are the globally significant resource size, so 6.1 million tonnes that contain nickel and some 386,000 tonnes that contain cobalt. This is one of the largest nickel resources in the world. We completed a PFS and announced the results on the 5th of July last year, and it demonstrated a robust project development just north of the city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder. We're working with quality partners in the Japanese consortium, Sumitomo Metal Mining and Mitsubishi Corporation, and targeting executing final agreements at the end of the March quarter, and that will enable us to commence the DFS, which will be fully funded, and have a pathway to making a final investment decision and ultimately developing the Goongarrie hub. So there's been a lot of discussion in recent times about the nickel sector, and in particular the Australian nickel sector, and that's mainly on the back of the rapid increase in production from Chinese-dominated supply out of Indonesia. But the underlying fundamentals for the nickel sector remain that unprecedented growth through traditional markets like stainless steel and the growth in electric vehicle and battery energy storage. That thematic hasn't changed. The nickel market's currently in surplus, but it is forecast to flip over to deficit, and we will see increases in the nickel price. This is the perfect time for Ardea to be completing a DFS and developing a globally significant project. We don't want to be doing that in a boom time environment where we have access challenges to key people and are paying top dollar rates. Our timing is perfect. And the underlying fundamentals for ethical and sustainable supply chains have been reinforced by the US Inflation Reduction Act and the European Union Critical Raw Materials Act. So now is the time to get set in the nickel sector. So this image shows that the majority of the world is classified as a medium to high risk resource investment development location. But Australia is very much at the top of the list as a low-risk destination, and at the top of the Australian list is Western Australia. Our project couldn't be better located, being just 70 kilometres northwest of the city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder. And then there's also been a lot of discussion about nickel battery chemistries, and the underlying fundamental is that no other chemistry compares with nickel because of the energy density and the long battery range. And obviously we've all seen the rapid uptake of EVs on our roads, but those nickel-dominated cathodes are going to pass through into trucks, buses and ships. So a bit more on the project. So our location shown in the images on the top right, and then we zoom in on our Goongarrie hub shown in green. So with the Japanese consortium, the agreements we're negotiating are focused purely on Goongarrie, and then we've got all the other KMP tenements shown there in red. So we do have that internal growth pipeline already within the company. Most importantly, we've got access to the skilled workforce infrastructure, and we're very proud of our team based in our West Kalgoorlie office. To put the KMP resource into perspective, here are the largest nickel resources in the world. Ardea's KMP is one of only 2 Australian resources that makes the top 10 and is the largest nickel cobalt resource in the country. The ore reserve that we announced with our PFS last year is 1.36 million tonnes of contained nickel and 99,000 tonnes of contained cobalt. And that's underpinned by over 5,000 drill holes for over 250 kilometres of drilling. We've had a lot of presentations already today talking about the funds and the time into the money going into their projects. Well, we've done most of the drilling already. There's been a huge amount of time and effort to get the company to the stage we're at. So the results from last year's PFS, our ore reserves are shown on this image in red, and our direct links to infrastructure are highlighted, and then we've got our annual nickel and cobalt production shown in the top right. So Goongarrie is unique. Of all the laterites anywhere in the world, and there's a number of factors such as preferential weathering, but we've got premium goethite ore, and in places we've got intercepts of over 100 metres at 1% nickel. This is a rarity. Most nickel deposits are only 20 to 40 metres thick. And this figure through our Goongarrie South deposit highlights the continuity of the mineralisation. So the nickel grade envelope shown in blue, and then the cobalt in red. So we've got continuous high quality goethite mineralisation, direct infrastructure links, and then if we look at the same image here, these are the resource nickel grades and the open pit designs. So the key feature of laterites, it tends to be free dig, very low mining costs, very low strip ratio, and they contribute to our very low operating costs. And just another key feature that the Ardea team's developed is the recognition and lodging IP applications on mineralised neutralisers. So just draw your attention to the core photo in the bottom right. So the brown material's goethite and the coarse white nodules are magnesite. We screen this material, the fines report to our main atmospheric leach feed, and then the white coarse nodules are used to neutralise the acid discharge. But then I guess the difference with most projects, they'll use conventional limestone with 0 nickel and cobalt credits. We've got background nickel and cobalt values, so this contributes to our production profile and our low operating cost. This is the plant layout defined in last year's PFS. 3.5 million tonne per annum project with 2 atmospheric leach circuits and 2 high pressure acid leach circuits, each at 1.5 million tonnes per annum, and a 500,000 tonne per annum AL circuit. The key takeaway here is it's all conventional proven technology. There's nothing new, novel or risky in our flow sheet. This figure and the image on the left highlights that the majority of nickel production last year was from laterites. This trend is set to continue in the years ahead, but we need supply chain diversity and security, and that's where the KMP comes into play. And then the image on the right, courtesy of Benchmark Mineral Intelligence, shows that most of the current nickel production from Indonesia, despite being opaque, has operating costs between about $5,000 and $15,000 US a tonne. This compares very favourably to Ardea's C1 OPEX of under $6,000 US a tonne. So we're hearing the headlines about mine closures, challenging project economics. With Ardea's OPEX at Goongarrie, you can see we can compete globally. And again, this is another image. This is courtesy of Standard & Poor's, and it's the forecast nickel cash cost curve at 2027. And again, you can see Ardea's C1 OPEX on the left-hand side in a lower cost quartile when we also take into account the cobalt byproduct credit. And some of the PFS financial metrics are also shown on this slide. So for a mega project, these are compelling returns. The Ardea team's been incredibly busy working on the DFS, and as I mentioned, our timing's perfect to be able to commence this in the June quarter. We've done all the hard work in the scoping, and we're finalising the assessment of bids and the budget at the moment. We've spent a great deal of time liaising with Sumitomo Metal Mining and Mitsubishi Corporation. They are excellent to deal with. They understand the strategic nature of the KMP Goongarrie Hub, and we're working together to be able to finalise executed agreements by the end of the March quarter. And we look forward to seeing the specific nickel laterite expertise from Sumitomo Metal Mining and the global resources sector experience from Mitsubishi Corporation being reflected in everything we do to develop a globally competitive, large-scale resources project. With the PFS, we were able to highlight the high ESG credentials of the project, and that's through initiatives such as in-pit tailings disposal, so we minimise the environmental footprint of the project. We've also got very low CO2 emissions, and we compare that 11.9 kilograms of CO2 per kilo of nickel produced. Some of the producers in Indonesia are emitting 60 to 90 kilograms of CO2 per kilo of nickel produced. So you can see we're very low by global standards. We're also in the fortunate position of having a very large tenement base. And yes, we're focused on developing Goongarrie, but we don't lose sight of the exploration potential for battery and critical minerals. And that enables the company to have that growth pipeline well into the future with projects we already control 100%. And we did complete an EIS hole late last year, and we've got a fantastic shareholder base. Unfortunately, one of our shareholders, Ollie DeP, passed away, and we have named one of the intersections at Highway Julie Elizabeth in honour of his wife. So again, we can't thank our shareholders enough, and this is a small way that we can acknowledge some of the input from our shareholders. So just to reiterate, we have a very large strategic tenement with portfolio with direct infrastructure access. It's poised for development. We enjoy fantastic local, state and federal government support, and that's shown through Ardea being granted major project status. All of the recent nickel and battery and critical roundtables, Ardea's been privileged to be part of those discussions, and we're very keen to continue working with government to maximise the opportunity for all of Australia with our battery and critical minerals sector. We'll continue to work with the Japanese consortium to finalise agreements and complete a very high quality DFS and progress the project towards the final investment decision and development. And most importantly, it's our people that will make this happen. So I hope I've been able to demonstrate that with the people and projects, Ardea is perfectly poised for growth. And please, if you've got any questions, come and see myself or the team at booth 50. Enjoy the rest of the event.